Okay. So we're actually going to start standing. So if you want to find mountain pose, and as you come into mountain pose this morning, becoming aware, dropping into the space of your body, this moment, this breath. Sorry, let me adjust here. So our feet are just right under ourselves. And I forgot to mention, you guys, we need a strap today too, just to pull the for laying prone and pulling the heel into the glute. If you use a strap for that, you're going to want a strap. So coming back to the mat, standing with your feet hip width apart, right? Rising up tall. And you might realize, so much of our day, different posture is leaning forward, reaching with the head, reaching with the shoulders, hinging at the hips. So much of us we're in forward motion, constantly going. And so lifting up in mountain pose can be an experience of noticing, right? Where do we hold in our muscle structure? And so just take a moment to come into the body here. First, noticing your feet, right? Noticing all 10 toes. Pressing down through the balls of the feet. And then noticing the centers of the heels. You feel all parts steady and stable. And noticing what's there, just kind of pressing down gently into the feet, and then kind of activate the calf muscles. Lifting up through the quadriceps. Rising up through the center, inner thigh area, adductors. So a gentle squeeze here, not overly squeezing the glutes, but just feeling the rise up through the center of the tailbone, up the spine. Right? Sense where your mid body is and the spaciousness of where your diaphragm moves. See if there's space there. And follow your internal vision up the spine and behind the heart and the lungs. And then that sense of connection where we gently draw the chin back, and you'll find that these muscles, the SCL, sternocleidomastoid, pulls, there's a muscle that activates when we push our chin gently back. You'll feel from your collarbones to the base of the cranium kind of active there, and that's Jaladhara Bandha. That's a lock. It kind of keeps us from draining out excess prana or energy. So we want our head slightly back and just rotating our palms forward. So see how this Thursday morning body feels today, right? Take a inner smile for a moment and bless wherever you're at in this moment. Take a breath. I want to start to notice the rhythm of your natural breath. Right? Just how are you breathing this morning? Maybe a little fatigued, it's early. For some, maybe you've been active already and you're feeling a nice even breath. Just notice it, right? The subtle sensations of breathing. And we're going to create a steady one-to-one breaths today. Just if things are in upheaval in our lives, it's good to just have a steady in and a steady out of the breath. So nice rhythmic breath. So just notice that you're exhaling as long as your inhale. And we'll just start to explore a little more as we work towards Dhanarasana or bow pose. Just exploring, we're going to bring the palms together, reach them overhead, just inhaling, stretch, reach, and push down into your feet. So there's like this traction in your spine, right? So we're lifting, could even look up towards your hands. Quadriceps really active. And then slowly we're going to take about 3 or 4 breaths. We're going to start to roll down through the spine, right? Tucking the chin, bringing the arms down. Just take your exploration of the spine as you roll down. 3 or 4 breaths. Just see what's here. Bend your knees quite a bit, right? Really bend them at the bottom. Hang your head, hang your arms. And then slowly, as we push down into the feet, roll back up. Take 3 or 4 breaths, sensing where the sacrum is, the lumbar, the thoracic, cervical, head, and then reach overhead. Take an inhale. And again, we'll roll down through the spine. So it's taking 3 or 4 breaths. Right, letting the arms hang, the shoulders hang. Right, locating each part of our back down through the sacrum, bending the knees quite a bit, bringing the belly onto the thighs or towards the thighs, and then pushing into the floor to come back up. So kind of bring your attention back up through as you sense the active adductors, inner thighs, up through the center of the body, the spine. Jaladhara Bandha, drawing the chin back and then reaching up. Deep breath in. And this time, let's take our right hand down and just take half moon. So side bend over, pause. Ardha Chandrasana pose. And a breath or two just to fill that prana into the left lung, left side ribs, right? Several breaths, even inhale to exhale if you can. So lighting up to the collarbones with the breath. And then reaching both arms up, breathing in. Another side, exhale over. Right, is a side different? Notice from that outer hip to your armpit. Take several breaths. Turning your chin slightly upwards and letting the upper arm bone maybe drift closer to the ear if that feels right. Good. So feeling that nice prana come into the right lung, we'll reach both arms up. Inhale. As you exhale, just wide open, we're just going to take this nice chest opening, and it's kind of like a cow pose. So we're going to straighten the legs and reach open the heart. Then as you exhale, bring the hands to the chest and chair pose. So pause in the chair pose for a moment. So Utkatasana, right? Feet are about hip width apart still. Contract the low belly, right? Find that Uddiyana Bandha. And then as you gently bring the inner thighs towards each other, you'll feel the pelvic floor slightly engaged. So Mula Bandha. So we're feeling the base of the body. So this is from Qigong. It's fire feeds earth. So we're bringing some of our fire back down to earth. So on our inhale, we're going to come up and open, hips come forward, open space of the chest. And exhale, chair pose, bring the hands to the heart. Contract the belly. Let's take this as a movement meditation, right? Filling with the prana coming in, bringing it down to earth as you exhale. Right, so we're moving from the air element down to the earth element. And beginning to warm our hip flexion. So our hip extension, which will help us in our back bending, right? So as your hips come forward, you want to feel the tailbone kind of slide forward and extend the hips. And then contract the belly. So maybe take 2 more of these. And see how you're feeling. And then pause and just come into mountain. And just notice again your mountain pose if it has shifted. Just tuning in. Just welcome yourself back to your body. We're going to use a surface or chair, bench, or whatever you've got nearby just for the bandhas. So we're going to bring the hands to the chair, step the feet just a little wider than the hips. And almost like cat and cow, we're going to start to connect to deepen our core here, but with activation. So working with pelvic floor and belly lock. So with the in-breath, right? So feel the length and soften your belly. And then slowly contract the glute muscles and hug the inner thighs. We'll just go with Mula Bandha to start. So kind of just feel like as if you're drawing your feet towards each other, right? So you're activating adductors into the pelvic floor. And then on the inhale, just release the glutes, release the legs. And maybe do that one more time. So exhaling, kind of hug the feet towards each other. Feel the inner thighs up to the pelvic floor and release. Good. So then we're going to continue that exhalation to contract inner thighs, pelvic floor, and then hug your low belly in. Right? Squeeze the contraction of the navel in towards the spine. Right? So we're really finding this lock. So breathing in, we're softening. And as you exhale, bring your attention to those subtle muscles, squeezing, contracting back towards the sacrum. Inhale to release. So let's do that a few more times, almost like zipping up from underneath into the belly, and then releasing, unzipping back out. So we start to sense these deep respiratory muscles, but also our core support, which is important in back bending. Good. So we're going to try the last few. When you're ready, we're going to add on that Jaladhara Bandha, the neck contraction. So contracting pelvic floor, low belly, and then bring the chin back and contain that exhale for a moment. And release the chin on the inhale, release the belly, release the pelvic floor. So these are the 3 locks, and this kind of helps us find our deep front line. So maybe try that a couple more times. See if you find that connection. And if it helps to start to make this more of a cat and cow, you could do that. So you're exaggerating your exhalation out, containing it for just a pause, and then inhaling. All right, so maybe take one more of those. And then just walk your hands up and pause. I know I feel warmer with that. As you come up to mountain, noticing the sensations. Feel more of the fire element in your body, maybe a little heat. As you breathe and center your heat back down to your feet, you're kind of grounding. Again, bringing the heat down to earth. All right, so we're going to take a warrior 1. So I'm going to do a pretty short warrior 1. Stepping back from your mountain pose with your left foot, right foot, ankle right under the knee, and really just noticing this hip extension on the left, right? So our left side hip is extending. So we're straightening that back leg. We're pressing down into our feet and gently hugging the inner thighs towards each other. Right, there's our stable base and our stretch of that hip flexor. We're going to reach the arms up into extended towards the sky. Right, so lifting, lengthening, hugging the belly in, right? Finding your container, right? So not letting the ribs spill out or spill forward, but containing, right? Containing our energy in our body, drawing our chin back slightly. Right, and then exploring with your little sensory receptors. Can we extend outwards to hands, feet, and head? Good. Continuing to lengthen the tailbone towards the floor. And when you exhale, just drop your elbows down, right? Coming into this W shape with the arms, squeezing the lower tips of the scapula. We're kind of reshaping, reforming, right, into back bending rather than all this constant forward motion. And then the breath just again starts to distribute the heat through the body and down to the earth. Good. And we'll bring the hands down, step all the way up, right? Come to mountain. Take a breath in, reach all the way up, and bring your hands back to your heart. And we'll step our right foot back to warrior 1. I'm going to turn around. Good. Your body's depth. So you want to feel steady, stable, alert, but at ease in your postures, right? So with my ankle, I have a very short, but steady, stable, and confident posture. I don't feel any spilling or weakness. So let's build from the ground up. So nice and strong, squeeze the inner thighs and reaching up. So just sense the base of the body kind of pulling in and then reaching up through the spine, containing around the diaphragm. Gently pulling the head back, arms reaching overhead. Good. So it's nice morning warrior one. Just building that sense of stability. Good. As you gently kind of square your shoulders towards the front, your hips are slightly open to the side, just a bit. You could bring your elbows down, right? Squeeze the lower tips of your shoulder blades, but contain your front body still. A lot going on, so being here, strong and present, gently pulling the head back. And if you like, I kind of feel like it here, doing a little lion's breath. You might just take a breath in and just stick your tongue out really wide, make claw hands and just go. So that can release some energy from your neck, your throat, and your head. So you might do that a couple of times, just a few lion's breaths. Claws. Good, and we'll reach all the way up and step forward. And coming into mountain. All right, feet flat, tailbone drops, check in. Even breath. Let's practice that sama breath, even sama, inhale to exhale. Let's take a couple breaths like that. Good. And the next time you breathe in, just reaching overhead, we're going to take a swan dive forward to half forward bend. So exhaling, reaching out, pause, little bend in your knees, draw the chin back. So here again, contain the prana, but also expand the breath, right? So there's a container for our prana. So we're going to hug the low belly in, slide the lower ribs back in a little bit, and lengthen the spine. Now here, I just want you to feel your spinal extensors. So you could bring your arms by your sides if you want, right? Just from your tailbone to the base of your cranium, the long muscles of the spine. So we use these in back bending, right? And as you draw your outer shoulders back, you feel that strengthening of your back, hugging the low belly in. One more breath. And then we'll just release it. And let your hands touch release your head, your neck, your shoulders. Bend your knees. And just come halfway up again. Walk your hands up. Look out. Extend your sitting bones back. Good. Feel the length of your spine again. Find the connection to support. And then we'll come all the way up. So reaching all the way up. Inhale. Hands back to your heart. Root down to rise. So we'll take that as a brief flow here. A little more warming up. So inhale, reaching out, swan dive forward, folding in. Coming halfway up, find the spinal extensors, right, from all the way to the base of the cranium. So slightly look forward and then fold back in. Bend the knees, reverse swan dive all the way up. Bring your hands back to your heart. And one more time, just for warming, reaching, swan diving, feeling the back, and folding in. Even breath coming up, And going out. All the way back up. Inhale. And hands back to your heart. Exhale. And pause. Press down into your feet. Good. We're just going to soften for a moment. Step your feet a little wider than your shoulders. And just a little warming of twisting. So just tapping on the kidneys. You're going to swing the arms. It's like you're emptying out your coat sleeves. You can take the head with you, or you can leave it facing forward. Good. So those long muscles of the spine are taken in a different direction. Right. So maybe one or two more. And pause. Mountain pose. Notice what elements are showing up. Maybe you're feeling more of air, more of fire. Exhale down to earth. So we're going to come all the way down. So let's come down. If you like, take a downward facing dog right now, just stepping back. And pause in that downward dog, or if you prefer, you could come to downward puppy on your knees. So just a little stretch, some just like your cat or dog, just kind of drop your chin, your forehead, pedal your heels out if you're in downward dog. Maybe wiggle your hips from side to side. If you're in downward puppy, you could roll your head side to side. What can you let go of here? Take one more breath. And then slowly, for everyone, slide forward onto the belly for some prone postures. So you come to crocodile or Sukhasana and drop the forehead to the hands. Right, and relax for a moment. So just letting the hips, the back, the glutes, and everything relax. So to start with our gentle contraction of the bandhas here. So with the in breath, take a softening of the belly and the pelvic floor. And gently contract the pelvic floor, the low belly back towards the spine as you exhale. Just kind of feel those. And that can happen by lengthening the tailbone towards the heels and pressing the hip bones down on the exhale. Pressing the tops of the feet down to activate this gentle contraction. Releasing as you inhale. And one more time on your exhale, almost like you're drawing the pubic bone towards the navel and the navel towards the sternum. right? So the front body is shortening, even though we are laying on our belly. We're contracting our front body slightly. So try that out a few times. So just that pubic navel sternum contracting of the front body. And the next time you exhale, and you find that gentle front body contraction, hold that for a moment, gentle contraction, and come up into Sphinx. So you have some toning of the front body as we start to move into back bending, right? Pressing tops of the feet down, lengthening the tailbone towards the heels. Taking a breath. This Bhujangasana, or actually Sphinxasana, right? We're not quite to cobra yet. And then you might gently lengthen from your collarbones to your chin, and you might notice that those muscles are slightly shortened. Just give a little stretch. And a nice even breath. So we exhale out. Come back to Makrasana, crocodile. Relaxing through the front body, big breath, or just not a big breath, but just an even breath in and out. And then sliding your hands back, thumbs next to your rib cage. Slight contraction of the front body, just some gentle baby cobras. We're going to feel our upper back, so breathing and lifting. And then exhaling, rolling back down. And we still have that activation of our core. So it's supporting us, but we're feeling now the scapula and the upper thoracic engagement and lowering back down. So with the pace of your own breath, maybe a little push into the hands and then lowering back down. Drawing elbows in towards your sides. And lowering back down. And pause, bring your forehead to your hands, releasing the back, the glutes, the legs. And here is where we're going to use our strap. So getting into the front body a little more by stretching. So we're going to take the strap, or if you reach your foot or your ankle or your pant leg, whatever it takes, for half frog or Sukhasana, I'm going to cross the right hand in front, right our forearm in front of us, creating this new shape. And reaching back with the left hand towards the foot. Keep the hip bones facing the floor and the pelvis even, right? So we don't want to twist our sacrum here. Want to press the hip bones down as we draw the heel in towards the glute and lengthen the tailbone towards the heel. So there's a little lengthening going on in the lower back. And so as you hug that foot in towards your glute, right, pressing down into the top of the right foot, you could lift your chest if that is available to you. You could press into your forearm. Draw the scapula down the back, depending on how tight that hamstring or that quadricep is. And take a breath. Let's see if you can return to the even breath. And release it. And return, just relax. I'm going to compare your left and right leg. You can wiggle or shake your Shake your pelvis back and forth a little bit just to feel the difference. Is it soft or tense? And then we'll do the other side, crossing your left forearm in front of the chest, reaching the right arm back. Centering the pelvis, but not crunching the lumbar. So lengthening the tailbone towards the heels, right? And ultimately, in yoga, we want to think of the energy going up the spine. We don't want to block that energy moving up the spine. So not pinching. So lengthen the sternum forward as you pull the heel in towards the glute. And even though you've got you're holding the bandhas, you're breathing. Challenges the diaphragm a little more. Good to strengthen that diaphragm. And when you're ready, release and relax back down. Soften. Relax the spine. Let's take a breath from tailbone to crown. So see that we have our energy running up our spine nice and gently. And then we'll move right into our peak pose here of Dhanarasana. So we could bend our heels in as close to our glutes as we can. And the first option here, so our hands by our sides and your forehead could be down on the mat. So the first option, again, engaging hip bones towards the floor, lengthening the tailbone, finding the spinal extensors right in the back. So walk your awareness right up your back to the base of the cranium, reaching for your heels. So this might be your Dhanarasana today, right? Good. So it's a lot to think about, and we're looking forward. We're still breathing. Pubic navel sternum contraction slightly. Reaching the arms back. Notice all that energy comes to our heart space. So be gentle with yourself. And release that version. You can take your right ear to the floor. Relax. Take a breath. Expanding around the lower back, giving it some gentle ease. We're going to do it one more time. And if you like, if you do reach your ankles and want to bind, you reach the outer edge of your ankles. Gently pull them in while lengthening the tailbone towards the heels. And you're going to press your feet into your hands as you lengthen up. So take whatever version is available to you today. Hard for me to talk and do that. So holding there as you press your hands into your feet, draw the sternum forward, lengthen the tailbone back. Find the spinal extensors, right? Being active up to the base of the cranium. Even engaging behind the neck. So Jaladhara Bandha, gentle chin tucks back, not pinching though. Okay, so maybe you take one more breath if you're still holding that back bend, and then release it. All the way back down. You could take your left ear to the floor now, turning your head. And really recover the even breath. Right? See it. Inhale to exhale. 1-to-1 ratio. So if you feel like your lower back muscles have settled, we're going to press into our palms, come back up, and just slowly work your hips back towards a child's pose. So, right, so if your back is tender, just move slowly, maybe move in and out a little bit, right? So that can be a gentle, taking care, maybe move the hips forward and back, right? Exploring that hip flexion and extension a bit. And we'll do that with our breath, just breathing in to a plank and then an exhale back to child's pose. So with a quality of awareness, a quality of self-care and compassion. Right, so if your fire kicks in and you're like, this is, a task, the taskmaster comes in, bring in the conductor that says, there's nothing to do here but explore and just be in the moment. So let's take a few hip circles now. So breathing in, just coming forward to plank, circling the hips around to the side. And let your nurturer voice come in. And your voice of compassion, whatever that might be. Try your circles in the other direction. So we're kind of, really activating our water element here, our flexibility, our ability to change and move with the times, to flow, let go, right? And the next time you come around, let's just swing our legs around in front and maybe come onto a blanket or a bolster. We're going to do just a couple forward bends to compensate for those deep back bends. So you want to come right up onto a blanket and elevate your hips a little bit. So I'm going to take gate pose. So just swing the right leg out to the side. And I said forward bend. So let's take Janusarasana. So I'll take the leg forward, the right leg forward, straight out from the hip, the left foot into the thigh or wherever is comfortable for your knee joint. So check in with your joints, right? You don't want one joint to be compromised for a pose. So reaching up, we could take that, right, assessment of the length of the spine, right? Are both sitting bones on the bolster? Can we lift up out of the hip bones? Find the spinal extensors reaching as we reach out. So again, we're going to use those just like in Cobra, right? Reaching out, landing the hands on either side of your leg. And let's take about 5 breaths. And for those of you with the sacral discomfort, you might just take Paschimottanasana instead. You could take both legs forward, an even forward bend. So if you're keeping the pelvis very stable and neutral, you could stay with this and evenly bend forward from the hip joints, keeping the sacrum stable. It's a time to reconnect to the breath here. So we're going to slow down in our forward bends, Our exhale now maybe be a little longer than our inhale. At the end of the exhale, let's find the open space of retention for a moment, just the pause. And then walking your hands back up. Neutral pelvis. Bring that left knee upwards. And we'll take a spinal twist here. Just a gentle twist. You could bring the foot next to the knee, or if you like, cross it over, right? Hold the shin to draw the belly towards the thigh. So again, our spinal extensors are active. We're lifting up. We're activating Jaladhara Bandha, gently hugging our chin back and reaching back with the left hand. Right arm reaches up. So we're creating this opposing action of spin to the left, right? So heart space, rib cage, chin, right? Rotates and then wrap, right? Create that internal spin. And again, this is an asymmetrical pose. So with the sacral joint, make it very gentle. You might not hug the knee in as tight. You might not stretch. You want to really isolate the movement of the leg from the pelvis. So it might be with your foot out here and you're just moving the leg in and out without spinning the pelvis at all. Here, my pelvis is slightly spinning as my right foot reaches forward and I hug my left knee in. But my hip bones are moving at equal rate. One isn't moving more than the other. And find the breath. And we'll come all the way back. Release. Release a lot of energy from our hips and our spines. Just take a moment. And coming into the forward bend of Janusarasana or your modification. Left leg stretches forward, sitting bones grounded. Find your hip bones here and hip flexion, right? So we're going to take our hip bones and they're going to reach towards the thigh bones, right? Closing the book and walking your hands forward. So toes facing towards the ceiling. And we'll take about 5 or 6 breaths here. And the actions are continuous, right? So there's like this internal, like I'm still thinking about flexing my hips because it's active, right? I have to send my sitting bones back together at the same time and reach my hip bones towards my thighs at the same rate. So they're working together. And then just walking your hands in, taking our last posture with our spinal twist. So finding neutral pelvis, right foot where you'd like it to be right now. And left hand on the right knee, right hand reaches back, and actually reach the left arm up just to start the spin, right? Start the spin within yourself. Use the intrinsic muscles of the spine to spin you to start. And you may not want to push past where your natural intrinsic strength is and just hold that space rather than really pulling in on the knee or too hard. Right, so wrapping the arm, turning the head towards the back shoulder. Breathing in, and breathing out. And we'll come back into neutral, right? Spinning around. Just release for a moment on your back. So we'll come all the way down to Shavasana. Right, check in with how your body lays on the earth. If you need any gentle movements, such as bending your knees for a moment. I kind of feel like bending my knees and just rocking my knees back and forth, taking a few windshield wipers just to gently ground the energy in the pelvis and the lower legs back to the earth. And when you're ready, coming into your Shavasana, you might give your back a little support with a bolster or a blanket if you like. It's behind the knees if that's more comfortable. You might just stretch out in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Letting your toes turn out to the sides, maybe the palms to the ceiling. And Shavasana is really practicing non-doing, just letting go. Maybe noticing first any residual tensions, stress patterns, and let those go on your exhale breath as you travel through the body, just letting the areas further relax. You just notice now the layer of the breath, the energy body, as you breathe in and breathe out in an even breath. to continue to take a step back to a place of just noticing, observing body and the breath. Thoughts or feelings here. Allowing a quiet to come into all spaces if possible. Wherever you feel most comfortable to bring that quiet. And then maybe even if it's a little uncomfortable, to bring the quiet. As we get a little closer to releasing deeper into our tissues, if we like that exploration of deeper release, we start to kind of find our edge and our inner tensions and bring compassion, love, whatever is looking to reveal itself. It's always a choice. We don't have to if we don't want to. The beautiful thing we know about nature is that it changes. So if difficult things arise, they will pass. If you'd like to stay there or begin to move towards a meditation posture, you can. Just mindfully moving, staying with a connection to our quiet, our mindful movement. And as you come to your comfortable, easy seated posture, Sukhasana, just again finding the connection to your lower body touching the earth, sitting bones grounded, and the spine nice and tall. Resting your hands in your lap, Bringing the awareness down deep into the earth. Maybe for a moment, just imagine the qualities of earth. Maybe you're in your garden, just holding dirt in your hands, soil that just feels solid and firm. You imagine several feet down into the earth and the roots that grow there. All the minerals, rocks, and roots that create texture and solidity. So as you imagine those qualities of solid, stable, unchanging, and infinite, form and shape, start to feel those in your feet. Form and shape and stability as you move up the legs. Embodying solid earth, the knees, the upper legs, filling in the space and form of our body is right here, present in shape and structure through our hips, our belly, and the same qualities as we feel them come up to our chest, the rib cage, heart, lungs, back ribs, filling in any gaps in our form and shape and structure. Just taking a breath, if you like, just to notice how the qualities of earth feel in your body, your shoulders, your arms. Into the neck, so the cervical spine, throat, jaw. The qualities of earth fill the form and shape of your space of your mouth, the upper palate, nose, eyes, mind. And the qualities of earth, stability and ground, come to the crown of your head. Form and structure, and give way to life through water. First element of movement, liquid and flowing water. Might come back down to the belly, just below the navel and around to the base of the spine. The seat of the water element. As we imagine the qualities of water just running through our fingers, washing over our face, smooth and silky flowing water. Imagine that quality through our abdomen, like a gentle flowing wave, filling our midsection, and discovering where we feel more sense of flow, where we don't. The water element just gently flows through the sense of our chest, space of our back and shoulders. Water is life, feeling the life flowing in our arms, and where we don't feel it. That soft, silky flowing as it comes up through our neck and neck to our ears, face, around the mind, like a still lake. As water gets a more sharp quality, parts of ourselves are sharp, transformative, and heating, like the sun. We might bring our awareness to the navel center. And just imagine the bright glowing sun right at our navel center. And in the context of space where it's quiet, the sun just is. It's radiant, heat, radiates from all directions. Maybe take the brightness from the belly and just notice the brightness in the pelvis, the radiance in the legs, like 1,000 glowing suns. Coming back up to the area of the upper body, chest, shoulders, and back. How does the fire element feel in your body? How do you feel about the fire element? Soft glow in our arms, hands, and fingers. Light is life. Come up the neck to the head and notice the light, the radiance of our mind. Like 1,000 glowing suns. Just breathing in and breathing out, we move up to the air element. We notice this breath moving in and exchanging with the environment outside of us. The in-breath, the chest, shoulders, back, and spine are filled. And the out-breath, they relax. As you start to notice mobility, lightness, coolness, movement, active, changing air. So we witness for a moment just the act of changing, shifting, and moving within our body, the mobility as the heart beats, things move. We take a breath, molecules are transferred. Every cell with movement has air and space. So we move to the space element. You take your attention just to the area of the throat. Just breathing in and sensing the spaciousness as if breathing through the pit of the throat. Notice the space as we move up to the head and bring our awareness to the space within our mind, our brain, the space between the form. Space behind our eyelids. As we notice that space, that same space in our whole body, luminous space, expansive, any sound travels right through. Take a moment just to feel the sound vibrations traveling through the space of your body. If you feel drawn to any of the elements today, you might sit with their qualities for the remainder of our time. And notice what comes up for you. Move into silence.